The IWA Forced Industry Pension and LTD plans are a valuable part of your employee's financial life, so thank you for taking time to attend this webinar. Today we'll be focusing on reporting hours and making status updates in EmployerConnect. We have recently made significant updates to EmployerConnect, which makes these functions easier. We look forward to showing you how they work. Here's our agenda for today. We'll start with some of the most common questions and issues that come up when reporting contributory hours and making status updates. Then we'll move on to EmployerConnect tips to make reporting easier and show you how to make status updates. It's quite a bit of information, so if you have any questions, please type them into the Q&A box on your screen. At the end of the recorded part of the presentation, Gary and Kaljit from our contributions team will be here to answer them for you. When making contributions and status updates, some of the resources to assist you are the Employer Administration Manual, the Contributory Hours Reporting Guide, and the Status Update Reporting Guide. We sent links to these resources in your email reminder for the webinar. The easiest thing to do when you're searching for an answer is to use the electronic copy of these guides and do a search for the topic you're looking for. As we update the guides from time to time, it's best to click on the resource button in your EmployerConnect account or go to our website for the most recent version of the guides. We'll start with common questions that we receive regarding contributory hours. If you're wondering when you're supposed to make contributions to the pension or LTD plan, our one-page contributory hours reporting guide has you covered. Our updated guide can be found on our website or by keying in the URL listed on this slide. So here we go with some frequent questions we receive. We're often asked when contributions start for new employees. If you're unsure if your new employee worked for another participating employer, reach out to the contributions team and we'll let you know whether they have or not. With pension, it's pretty straightforward. Contributions start from the very first hour worked. With LTD, there's a couple of things to remember. If your new employee was previously covered by the LTD plan within the last 18 months, their eligibility begins the first hour worked for your company. This excludes returning summer students. If they worked in the industry over 18 months ago, they need to restart the eligibility period, which will be the same as your health and welfare plan probation periods. Not everyone receives LTD coverage, so not all employees contribute to the plan. Casual, part-time, and probationary employees are not eligible for LTD membership in the plan, but you'll need to refer to your collective agreement for these. It's also important to note that you and your employee do not pay LTD contributions after your employee turns 59.5 years old. The reason for this? LTD coverage generally goes up to age 60, and should your employee go on disability leave, they would be on short-term disability for 6 months leading up to their 60th birthday. Stat holidays and crummy time generate a lot of calls at the plan office. If you refer to the contributory guide, you'll see that contributions are not required for stat holidays unless an employee works on a stat holiday. If this is the case, you would make the normal deductions. And finally, crummy time. This term refers to the transportation time it takes for an employee to go from A to B in their job, which specifically includes driving duties as defined in your collective agreement. If driving isn't in your employee's job description, they likely don't qualify for crummy time. However, please refer to your collective agreement or talk to your union local. With leaves determined by the Employment Standards Act, you must ensure your employee completes the contribution during a leave of absence form before they go on ESA leave, such as parental, bereavement, or jury duty leave, to name just a few. Submitting this form indicates whether or not they wish to continue accruing pension credits during their ESA leave. If your employee chooses to continue contributing during their leave, you must also continue to make contributions. Please note, as of January 1st, 2024, members on ESA leaves will maintain LTD coverage. Contributions from the employer and member will not be required. We'll move on to status updates and why they're so important to your employees and our members. Status types affect plan members' pension credits and coverage in the LTD plan. Status updates are vital to your employees because this is how your employees earn their unfunded pension credits. Unfunded hours are important because they can help to bring your employees credited service up to the 1,800-hour threshold they need in order to earn a full year of pension. Participating employers must submit status updates every reporting period. When an employee is laid off on WCB, short-term disability, or long-term disability leaves, you need to keep us updated on a regular basis to let us know if the status is the same or has changed. This generates unfunded credits. When status updates are left unreported, employees can lose out on the pension credits they're entitled to when they're not working, for the reasons shown on this slide. Year over year, this can really add up. This guide can be found on our website or by keying in the URL listed on the slide. When reporting status changes, employers commonly forget to report when an employee is laid off and when an employee is terminated. Both situations cause issues. When an employee is terminated but not reported, your employee list is inaccurate and can be much longer and harder to work with. When an employee is laid off, their unfunded credits accumulate on a weekly basis of 7 days. Reporting a full 7-day week will generate 40 hours of unfunded pension credits. If you report 6 days or less, this will not generate any unfunded hours. So please refer to the guide, and if you have any further questions, contact the plan office so your employee's status is up to date and accurate. Now we'll move on to EmployerConnect. When you log into your EmployerConnect account, it's good practice to review some key areas. On the left side of your screen, you'll see contacts. These are the employees who have administrative rights to your account. If an employee responsible for remitting contributions, adding employee information, or making status changes leaves their position, you need to ensure they are removed from the list so they no longer have access to your account and your employee's personal information. Please make sure to contact the plan office to delete contacts. You can do this by email, secure email, phone, or fax. If your company has several divisions, please check through the contact list of each one. Different companies or divisions are located at the top of your homepage. Again, contact the plan office to delete any administrators who no longer work for you. It's also good practice to regularly check your inbox. This is where you'll find messages relating to the system, plan rules, and direct correspondence from the plan office regarding your account. Our team has recently made improvements to EmployerConnect driven by feedback from our employers. Following the release of the improvements, when you make a status update entry, you will be able to see it immediately after posting. You will also be able to view status history and initiate corrections to previous status updates that weren't accurate. We've also made an improvement that will help prevent gaps in your employee's work history, which can impact their unfunded hours. We'll go over the new functions in the following video demonstration.
In this video, we'll be demonstrating how to make status updates and how to initiate revisions to prior status updates. We'll start with making current status updates first. In EmployerConnect, we have 2 ways of entering status updates. The first and best option for employers who manually enter hours each pay period is here in Billing Statement. This is where you enter status updates while entering employee hours. Select the open pay period you're currently working on. Click on the down arrow to show your employee list. Next, you enter hours for each employee, which we'll do here. If you come across an individual whose status is changing, you select the appropriate status. The major change is that now you need to indicate an end date to all statuses except where the end date is grayed out and not required. Why do we need end dates? They're needed to track unfunded hours. If unfunded hours aren't accurately recorded, employees can have gaps in their work history, and this can negatively impact them. So, you can add your end dates one by one, or you can wait until the next step after posting. and this is what we'll do. So you post the same way as always by clicking the up arrow, and now a new screen will pop up showing all the employees who have other statuses besides active. If you know the work status end date, you can manually enter it here, which we'll do now. If you don't know the end date, you can set a default date of your pay period end. You can do this simply by clicking the tick box at the left. This will autofill all the boxes with your pay period end date. Remember, you need to deselect the ones that you manually filled in. Next, you click Default End Date, which is located at the top right side of your screen. When an employee's end date is autofilled, the status will carry forward and be saved for the following pay period. The end date will show up blank on the next pay period. If the status changes on a specific date, you'll manually enter it in. But if it hasn't changed, you'll autofill the end date to the default end date. And you'll do this again and again for each pay period until you have the actual status end date. This helps to ensure that a status doesn't remain open. So we click Next now. This review screen captures all active employees with no hours reported for the period. If you see the name of a person whose status needs to be changed, such as a termination, you scroll to their name and change their status and enter the date. You may be surprised to know that most employee lists have the names of long terminated workers. So doing this really helps to clean up your employee lists. When you're done, click Next. And here you click Confirm. And now your pay period is submitted and closed. As a side note, if you work for a larger employer who uploads hours and status updates, we will soon be releasing a function which will automatically turn the data in your Excel spreadsheet into data within EmployerConnect. And we'll announce this in EmployerConnect when it's launched. The other way to update an employee's work status is in the employee list. In the previous section, we showed you one way to add a new status, and here's another way to do it. Go to the employee list. Select your employee by clicking the down arrow. Go to the View or Add Work Status tab. This is a new addition, and as you'll see, it's very helpful to have. So in here you see the employee's prior status history. If an error was made, a change can be easily initiated by you. But here's also where you can add a new status. So let's do this now. Click the plus button in the shaded area. Pick the status type and put in your dates. Next, you save your changes by clicking the green disc on the left side. So, if you need to revise a status or change a start or end date, you can also do it here. So here we go. We'll stay on the same employee for this example. To change their status, you do the following. You locate the incorrect status and press the plus button beside this status that you need to revise. On this screen, you confirm it's the correct item by pressing Continue. Now here you need to provide a note which goes to our team explaining why the status is being changed. So you put this in and you press Submit. At this point, we'll review your request and then we'll send a message to you on your EmployerConnect account within 5 business days. You can see your change by going into your Sent items. Here you'll see your request for your change status, your status update change. And it's at the top. So this wraps up the new functions in EmployerConnect, which will make your status updates more accurate, easier to review, update, and revise. Thank you.
We do our best to provide accurate information, but not every rule or situation is covered. This presentation is not a substitute for the plan text, which is available by contacting the plan office. If there are any inconsistencies between this presentation and the plan text will always govern. If you have any questions about your account or about EmployerConnect, contact the plan office and we will be happy to help you.